When I read a book, it really leaves such a big impression on me that I am promoting it, even if I'm not getting anything from it, obviously, but I'm like recommending it to all of my friends. I make sure to make a note of it in any of my YouTube videos, just so I can share it. In my newsletter as well, if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. It's linked down below. My newsletter, when it comes out every week, it's basically what I learned that week, what I experienced that week. Maybe you can pick up a thing or two. So the most recent book that I read, and I'm still reading, it's called The Courage to be Disliked. I actually got it on my Kindle. It's a Japanese phenomenon that shows you how to change your life and achieve real happiness by Ikiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. I cannot emphasize enough how this book changed my perspective. They are going over the Adler's theory, and if you're not familiar with it, Adler was a psychologist. He was popular around the same time as Freud, but he had a totally different approach to life. And in his theory, we are not shaped by the traumas we experienced in the past, that we should live in the now, and that anyone can change. And not anyone chooses to, but any person can change, no matter what your perception of life is and how traumatized you were and how maybe all of the unfortunates that happened to you during your life. So I really started to kind of look at this theory and learn about it more and more. Just because Freud was super popular at that time, not a lot of people actually were familiar with Adler's theory. And I tend to agree to some degree, and I'm gonna do my best and I'm gonna teach my children to actually follow it to some degree, because I do believe that anyone can change, and I don't believe that we are shaped fully by our traumas. And obviously we are maybe influenced to some degree, and certain decisions are harder for us to take just because we are in the present as a human beings. Whatever we experienced in the past, we are being shaped by it and probably influenced by it. But after reading this book, and it's super interesting because it shows a dialogue between youth and a philosopher, how youth, based on Freud's theory that we are shaped by our traumas, by whatever we lived through our parents, by whatever we lived through a narcissistic relationship, and that we cannot change. And the philosopher who is standing behind the Adler's theory is actually arguing that point and explaining that whatever we choose and how we choose to live today, it's definitely our own choice and our own decision. And it's not always influenced by people who surround us, by the society, and by our past traumas. What this book covers is that we are all essentially attention seekers, and we are narcissistic to some degree. We are self-centered. So in reality, when someone chooses not to be socially active or be an introvert or not to come out of their house and socialize with people, they can come up with an excuse. Oh, I've been traumatized, people betrayed me, I had bad friends. But essentially what this person is looking for is for attention, for people to come to his area or for people to come to his house, not for him to expose himself and to come out of this little circle that he created around his life. And by reading this book, it actually teaches you that in reality, this is the truth of human nature, that we are accommodating our life and we are pretty much scared of taking any extra step out of our comfort zone. So basically, moving out of our comfort zone is one of the first steps we should take if we are to follow Adler's theory, because we are living in the present, in the now, and we are not totally shaped by what we experienced 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even last year. Essentially, if we focus on past causes and try to explain things solely through cause and effect, we end up with determinism, because it means that our present and future have already been decided by past events and they are unalterable, which is such a wrong approach. Anything can be changed and there's always a way out. And I learned that from personal experience, and probably you did too, that there is a way out of any caused situation but death. Everything else can be adjusted. Your weight, your social status, your surroundings, where you live, who you live with, who surrounds you, who you let into your life. All of this, they're just external factors when it comes to you. So if internally you want these things to change, they will change, because we are changing on daily basis. Every day, every hour of the day, you learn something new. You learn something about yourself. You learn something about your surroundings. So the situation you are in, it's not your final destination, for sure. Freedom from external validation, another point that was noticed in this book, that we should really learn how to validate from within without actually waiting for anyone to tell us, oh, you did a good job. Oh, this was so smart of you. This is definitely one of the faults of human nature. We tend to expect everyone else to notice how good we did, as opposed to waiting for ourselves to give ourselves a pat on the back. I hope you're gonna go and read this book. I'm gonna link it down below. By reading this book, you are definitely going to change your perspective when it comes to external validation, because you're not gonna need it that much, since you know that you are in the power of changing the now. Then the external validation is not going to matter. I definitely recommend this book. Changed my view on life. Pursuing personal growth, Adler is under the impression that when we're not going to seek external validation and we're not gonna base the outcome of whatever we're pursuing on external validation, we're not gonna care whether or not this is gonna do good or do bad. Whatever project you're working on and whatever you're trying to achieve, if you're not going to base the way that project is going to unfold on how people are gonna see it, then you're not gonna care. Okay, I failed, it's fine, I can do another project. Okay, it worked, good for me. So it's going to lift a big weight off your shoulders. Try it. Empowerment, another very important point. Having the courage to be disliked is going to empower you, because you're not going to care about anyone. Well, you should care to some degree, but it's not gonna alter your life and your view on a situation. So, for example, you decided to start a business and you did your research and you have a very solid ground you're standing on, and you're thinking, okay, I can do this, I'm not gonna care about everyone else's opinion. And then your mother comes in and installs doubt on you. And then your partner comes in. Hopefully you have a good partner who's gonna support you, but they might be not as optimistic as you are, and they are going to throw in a comment or two. Your sister comes in, a friend of yours, your father. So once you start accepting all of these opinions and listening to all of these people, you are going to feel that much less, obviously, sure and secure of yourself. But by giving yourself power and empowerment, and by trusting your own gut and your own feelings, and I know this can work if I put my thought into it, then you're going to be free of all of those secondary opinions, and the only opinion you're going to trust first and foremost is going to be your own. I think I went over enough how you should read that book or go and read about Adler. I'm still learning it. He was pretty cool, because I don't necessarily agree with all Freud's opinions. That's why I was looking for something or someone who went against him. Other than that, please do comment down below if there's any other topic you would like for me to cover, and I will see you in my next video.